Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in from. Happy Thursday, everyone. I am just opening this up so I can see the actual comments. How are you all doing? As you are jumping on, please let me know you are here. I want to see you. I want to be able to say hi to you. So, welcome everybody. I am super excited. We are going to have another rich discussion as I've been focused on having conversations with everyone around Howie. Hey, Kisa. Welcome. Happy Thursday. I am so glad to see you all here. We are going to continue to talk about how to take your message into bigger platforms, and so especially into corporate. And one of the things, hey Michelle, yay from Humble, Texas. We're having good weather finally in Texas, which is nice. I hope you are over in Humble. Um, so we're going to keep talking about how to take your message into bigger platforms, specifically corporate. I will tell you, the more and more I talk with my clients, the more and more I see what's going on, and just even sitting with my own energy and downloads, the more and more it is resonating how much we need to be taking our messages in. They are struggling with so much, and you may have seen the post that I put out earlier this week around some of the challenges that they're faced with, right? There is so much that is moving, and many leaders right now are feeling very inept in terms of their own ability to navigate through the change, to support their people effectively, to do their own self-care and healing through this, because there's a lot of things that are coming to surface through everything that we've experienced over the last 15 months to 2 years with everything that's going on. And so leaders really are needing an opportunity to be more equipped in that. And so I am going to continue to urge you and to really challenge you to think about how to take your message into those spaces. I know there's a lot of monkey mind, and head trash that goes on around why you think you can't. And I want to dispel some of that, and I want to give you some tools that makes it easier to navigate in that space. And so today we're going to talk about 5 things I want you to consider, 5 essential steps when you're having that first connection call. So if you are working your network, if you have an opportunity to have a call with someone who is either a potential champion and or a key decision maker, there are some things I want you to consider versus going into the call blind and saying, I'm just going to wing it. You only get one shot oftentimes in these situations, and so I want you to be fully equipped to go in with the best shot possible. Now, it still may not go anywhere, and the more you practice this, the more you get in front of these people, the more you're engaging in those conversations, the more you're going to get traction. And I say this a lot when I'm working with people in my masterminds, and I'm going to talk about the Incubator as well. That you only need one. You only need one really good corporate relationship that you can start to drive opportunity horizontally, vertically, so deep and wide in the organization. Because if you are doing the things the right way the first time, you actually will create long-term relationships that you can do a lot of different things with an organization and really cultivate that relationship. And so the way we structure that first connection call is absolutely critical in order for us to really be able to cultivate relationships that are going to be meaningful, cultivate relationships where you are positioning yourself as a partner, as someone who is coming in with a strategic mindset, as a consultant, rather than you being another vendor who's just doing some kind of training or this or whatever, right? And so one of the things I want you to realize too is there are a lot of different ways that you can bring your message in. And hey, Keith. And so it is one, to get out of the mindset that we think it's got to be I love that you guys are all calling in from different areas. We got Toronto in the house. We've got Humble, Texas in the house. Keith, where are you from again? I don't remember. Drop that in as well. And for those of the rest of you that are jumping on, please let me know where you're from. Vermont. I knew you were from the East Coast. So yes, we got people from all over jumping in on the call. And for those of you that are just jumping, we are talking about the 5 things that are essential when you have that first connection call as you're going into some of those bigger spaces. And when I say corporate, I'm also talking about large organizations. I'm talking about nonprofits. I'm talking about the military and universities as well. This strategy is going to apply for those larger organizations. And so I want you to understand that there's strategies around how we best position ourselves, because everything that I'm talking about in terms of taking your message into new spaces is about deepening is cultivating relationships and really creating deep relationships. I personally, it serves at times. I'm not a big fan of the one and done model. And if you know what I'm talking about, it's that, hey, I'm just going to go do a speaking engagement, they pay me and it's great, and I walk away. Those serve a purpose, and yes, I do those. However, when I'm really looking at where I can create the most impact and influence, where I can really work to shift the level of consciousness and raise the level of leadership, it's about building deeper relationships. It's about seeing a bigger picture, and this is really important as I talk about the connection call. Because if you were just looking for the one and done, these aspects of a connection call still are going to be critical, and they may not be as critical if you're not looking at really developing meaningful relationships that have some sustenance, that have some depth, that have some longevity to them. And so I want you to consider, as you're thinking about, where are other areas that you can take your message. One, and I'm going to keep saying this because, like I said, not only am I seeing it and hearing it, I am feeling it deeply inside myself. It is being like, it's dropping in constantly about how much messages like ours are needed right now, that are heart-centered, that are soulful, that are from a space of talking about soft skills or emotional intelligence, that are talking about healing and self-care, that are talking about a new way to look at leadership and how to disrupt that space. There is so much need for that right now. It's crazy, and I want you to start thinking outside the box, because we do think oftentimes it's either a one and done, or we think that it's got to look a certain way and fit in a certain container. And I actually want you to challenge you to say that there is a big wide open space. I was just having conversations with somebody as we were talking about my upcoming incubator around how to play differently, and I am in a position right now with some of my corporate clients where I am co-creating things we have never done to facilitate meaningful, courageous conversations that aren't about slides and training and presentations. And it is really bringing in their people to not only create a container of safety for them, it's also about teaching them how to build those containers themselves. Right now, safety is a really, really, really big opportunity, and safety on multiple levels. I'm talking mind, body, and spirit. I'm talking safety to have courageous conversations. I'm talking safety in terms of leading with love from love. I'm talking about safety in terms of people being seen, heard, valued, loved, respected. I'm talking about safety as people are being asked to come back in the office, that they still can manage their life and flexibility. And there's just all this wide open vulnerability right now that most leaders are struggling with. How do I create a container where my people feel safe? And how do I navigate and facilitate those conversations? How do I create a place where we actually can allow ourselves to have some emotion, which is like the biggest faux pas in corporate, right? It's, oh my God, we don't feel, we just do. And everything is screaming for that right now. And so I say that because I know I've had some conversations with some of you offline, and I know some of that head trash and those stories keep coming up about why you think you can't. You think your message is too soft. You're not an expert. You haven't done it before. You don't know the language. The list goes on and on and on. And I'm here to tell you it's exactly why you can bring your message right now. There are leaders, the ones that get it. And if you watched my live on Tuesday, I talked about sort of those 4 personalities in corporate. One being that sort of arrogant, overconfident egomaniac who really at the core, unless they're narcissistic, which that's a different category, usually at the core of that kind of like presence and persona is this really vulnerable teddy bear who's just doesn't know how to ask for what they need, and can often be the person that's moved over into what I call the ray of sunshine, which is my favorite people to work with. It's the leaders that get it. It's the leaders that are asking for help and guidance. It's the leaders. I had a leader reach out to me yesterday, one who is in position to be promoted, and he reached out because he's so intentional about wanting to make sure he knows his core values, he's aligned to his core values, he's setting a context and framework so that he can build and to use his words, a safe environment and culture for my teams. That's the kind of leaders that light me up. And what we don't realize is oftentimes those arrogant, those egotistical, those ones that seem like they puff their chest up, given the right opening, actually are those leaders. They just didn't know it was possible. They also need a space to feel safe. And so I want you to realize that not only do leaders need to create safe spaces for their teams and their cultures, those leaders driving those cultures also need to feel safe. And for many of them, they don't have a place to do that. And so there's this opportunity on how do you create a space where they can communicate together and talk. And so the potential is limitless right now. It really is. There has never been a better time to think about taking your message in. And so I'm going to keep offering this and urging you to think about this, because look, I can only do so much work out there, and I want to support those people, because the other thing, and the reason why I keep showing up to have this conversation, is because not only is that conversation affecting those people and those teams and that culture, it's affecting families and our communities. What we're doing in business is what is getting pushed out into our communities. It's what gets brought into our home. And so you have an opportunity, if you're looking to heal family trauma, if you're looking to, have people play in higher vibration and bring energy, go to where the sources of what they're being taught, so that then they're bringing that in, and that butterfly effect, that ripple effect, starts to go out in multiple areas. And so I say that because when I talked about those 4 personas, that first one being kind of that egomaniac, the second one being Chicken Little, the one who thinks the sky is falling all the time, and is forever in the what if game. Then there's the space of the dazed and confused, the people that are so far past burnout that they can't get back. They haven't been taking care of themselves, and let alone able to take care of anyone else. They're living in the fumes. They're in the black abyss. They're so just like, everything just seems to catch them off guard. And then like I said, we have those ray of sunshines. Ideally, I want you to be creating openings and opportunities to get in front of the rays of sunshines. Those leaders that are ready to change the landscape of what business looks like. Those leaders who know, even if it's not the language they use, they recognize the need to shift the consciousness. They recognize the need to disrupt and change the definition of leadership. They recognize that we need to level up how we're showing up for ourselves and for each other. And they recognize, and I love this because I actually have some of my corporate clients that have started to use the word love with their teams, in their conversations, in their training, that they understand that love truly wins, and that love is something that needs to be brought into the business arena, right? And it's interesting because I had a friend of mine post not too long ago, do you see spirituality and business? Do you see spirituality being a function in business? And it's interesting because for me, there is no separation. And I think that's the biggest opportunity right now, is that business is spiritual. It is all about connection. It is all about how we serve. Now, there's a whole lot of ways that that's gotten convoluted over the years, and what's showing up in that space. And business is spiritual, or should be. And I think about those of you who are enlightened leaders and light workers who do this work, who are healers. Now is the time to start to help people connect those dots, right? Love is a damn good business. Man, I love that, Keith. I'm going to have to borrow that one. Love is a damn good business. I'm going to say that a couple times today. That is absolutely. And right now, people need the human side of how we show up together, and the spiritual side of how we show up together, more than just the business as always. And there's so many people that are pushing, oh, we got to go back to normal. We got to go back to, and there's a lot of resistance. I just saw an article the other day that said that 40+% of the workforce is looking to leave. And like 78% of the workforce is disengaged, burnt out, not loving their work. That's a lot of opportunity, and that's a lot of movement, and that's a lot of assistance for those spaces needed. So to get started in that conversation, so say, and there's a way, and mining that, right, working your network, say you've got an opportunity to have a conversation with someone in your network to open up the possibility of supporting them and bringing work into their organization. First and foremost, I want you to realize you cannot go into those spaces blind. If you go into those spaces without doing some preparation, without getting yourself in a mindset, headset, heart set, Like you are intentional, you know specifically what you're looking to accomplish in this without being attached to the outcome. But you are setting the intention not only for how you want to show up, but also how you want to feel and how you want that person to feel. You are missing a huge opportunity. So before I even give you the 5 components, the very first step when you've got an opportunity to connect with someone, this is a connection call. Notice I didn't say this is a sales call. This is a connection call. And the reason that I am focusing on this step is because this is the step that's missed more times than not. And this is the one shot that people shoot themselves in the foot because they don't realize they have got to build relationship. They need to cultivate a connection. They need to bring some commonality and energy before you try to position or sell anything. Most people do what I call the premature sell. They like come up, it's like, have you ever been, and I know this because I've done online dating, where literally I've met someone and they're already telling me they could marry me. I'm like, whoa, that's a premature ask. We put ourselves in a position where we like override our authority because we haven't taken time to nurture and cultivate the relationship from the start. A connection call, the entire objective of a connection call is to bridge an opportunity for connection to deepen or cultivate a relationship. So that being said, your intention going in needs to be, how am I going to show up as a leader to offer an opportunity to, one, hear this person. This is about you listening to them. It's not about you trying to say all the little things that are in your sales kit. I don't care what's in your sales bag. I don't care all the offerings and the services and the things you do. This call is not about you. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The connection call is not about you. The connection call is about you showing up and providing a space for that person to feel heard and understood, and that there is a connection that you get their world, that then they can see some value you might be able to offer them. And so I'm saying this very deliberately on purpose because most people miss this step. This is why most people find working in corporate or large organizations to be so difficult. It is a premature, yeah, you mean a connection call is actually about connecting. 100%, right? Stop trying to sell people. Start trying to connect with people. We are missing, and here, you want a key differentiator? I'm just going to tell you right now. Not only will you like set yourself up different from the beginning, the energy of the call, the way you show up, the way you're connecting, but you are differentiating yourself from 95% of what shows up in LinkedIn right now. How many of you connect with somebody and 5 seconds later you get the email that says, oh my God, I could do this for your business and help you grow 5 times what you did, and I could get you this many clients, and you already you're like repulsed by it. Like you just feel like, ugh. You don't even know who I am. You didn't even take time to say hello. It feels icky to us for a reason. Now, I'm working with a coach right now who has said, feel some love when people are trying to sell you because they're doing the best they can with what they have and it helps you receive more. So I get that and I love these people, and I'm not going to do business with them. I'm very clear. I'm not available to do business with people that are not choosing to establish connection with me, who are not taking time to even see. It's amazing to me when I get somebody that positions me, and I'm very clear. My profile, which is an opportunity for some of you, if you haven't updated your profile, to reflect who you are, what you stand for, and what you offer. You need to do that before the connection call. You need to have some of your ducks in a row in terms of your presence and how you show up. Because I guarantee that if you get a call with someone, the first thing that they do is check your LinkedIn profile. They're not checking your website. They're not checking whatever. They're checking your LinkedIn profile. They should already have a sense of who you are clearly before they get on that call with you. Yeah, I like you, but you don't know anything about me. What's amazing is when people do the cookie cutter one, and I'm like, really? You could see very clearly this is not my business. I don't do this, so why are you positioning this for me? So I want you to realize that there is some work you need to do. People want everything to be easy. We have such an entitled community around, I just want to go in and I should be able to close a deal and I should be able to connect with people. Here's what I'm going to tell you, especially in large organizations in corporate. If you're not willing to do the work, if you're not willing to lean in and do some homework, some research to prepare yourself, you have no business taking your message in this space, because how you show up determines how you're going to execute. And that is something that they see, they recognize, and becomes very clear for them. There is an energy. And by the way, most people in corporate are some pretty savvy salespeople, so they can smell desperation. They can smell somebody who's inauthentic. They can smell something that's going to waste their time. So the more you prepare so that it's a value add opportunity for them, again, connection call. This call is all about how you're offering value for them. It's about you building a relationship that says, I see you. I notice some things are going on. Here is something I feel can be valuable to maybe help you with whatever this might be. And so how do you do that? The first thing you do before you ever get on that call is you do some research. LinkedIn is one of the most powerful tools that people do not realize how rich and how much gold is in that platform. First of all, it is not social media. I know a lot of people are using it as social media. LinkedIn is not a social media platform. It is actually an SEO engine, just like Google and YouTube. It actually is an SEO engine, and it is a B2B, B2C business platform that is actually designed for recruiting, for sales, for business. It is not. Now, I get people are using it as a social media platform. Great. And it is designed as an SEO engine, not as a social media platform. And so, yes, one must slow your roll and be very succinct and quick in terms of how you're offering value. So there is a slow your roll and there is a adding value quickly, because oftentimes you get a matter of 15 or 20 minutes to make a first impression. And so I want to give you the tools to make that first impression powerfully, because as Maya Angelou always said, people will not remember what you said or what you did. They will remember how you made them feel. You are going into this connection call with the intention of making this person feel like you are the secret sauce that is going to help them navigate whatever pain points are going on for them in their organization at this point. That you are a gift, and that you are someone that truly created a container where they can feel seen, heard, loved, and valued. Ultimately, that is the biggest intention going into this call. And so research, go out to LinkedIn. You better have looked at their profile. There is language in there that's going to be very apparent around how their organization is structured, what they're focused on. Go out and see if there's been any articles or press releases from them and or any other leaders in their organization. Most of these organizations are publicly owned companies, which means you can go to their website, their shareholders report. There are ways, all of their press releases, all of their articles, leaders want to be in the limelight. So they are talking about what's changing, what they're struggling with, what they're focused on. That if you do your research correctly, and I should say not correctly, adequately, if you do your research, you will actually know how to position the first thing you need for your connection call, which is targeted, qualified, or targeted open questions. You want to go in asking questions that are going to help enrich and open up a dialogue that is going to walk them to where they need the most assistance. The other way that you can prep for that is to do research on statistics. I constantly am going out to the CDC, Center of Disease Control and CDC, Center of Disease Control, thank you, and Prevention. My brain just went somewhere. So that I can get statistics on burnout, stress in the workplace, what's going on. I've been tracking numbers as things are going on in the pandemic. How are people adapting to change? Like I said, I just saw an article that said 40% of workers are looking to leave their job because they want to do something more meaningful because the pandemic made them realize they weren't. 78% of people, these are all on LinkedIn, by the way, they are out there. They are Forbes articles, Fortune articles. They are, different research industries. McKinsey puts reports out there. You need to know where to access those and have some of that information in your back pocket so that you can ask targeted open-ended questions that are directly impactful to their business, the nature of their business, them as a leader, what's going on. It may be that you're working with other people in that industry that you're like, look, I've worked with several companies in this industry and this is a big challenge that keeps showing up for people. How are you all addressing that right now? Are you finding that to be something that's challenging you as well? And what you do is you start hitting questions that are questions that matter to them. It's not, hey Bob, how you doing? Oh, how are you? I mean, yes, you want some of the personal aspect to open up the call, especially if you already have a relationship with that person. And it might be, hey, how have you all fared through the pandemic? What are you doing? Whatever, going back into the workspace. I have a poll right now I'm doing on LinkedIn to find out. Actually, I have 2 polls. I did a poll last week. That was one on how many people are back full time in the office, how many people are flexing, and how many people are still home. Interestingly enough, most people are either flexing or still at home. And there's going to be a turn when people are back in the office. Are you prepared for that? How are you set up to accommodate shifting back into the office, right? That's a simple question you can start to ask people. I'm giving you some of these, by the way, for some of you, like, I don't even know where to start. These are the questions that says, I really want to know. I really want to know how you're doing in your business. I want to know what's challenging you, right? The other thing is when you lean into those questions, you can start to establish some rapport, which is really important in those connection calls. But what happens too often is we go in these calls and we ask yes/no question or closed questions instead of doing our research and finding the targeted open-ended questions that allow them to dialogue. Because truthfully, the best way you engage in these conversations is if you can ask a question and you can let them speak and you just listen, instead of them just giving you the short answer, which then you're like, okay, what do I do with that? Because the more they share, the more you're going to hear nuggets for how to ask follow-up questions from there. And it's interesting to me, and I'll give you an example. When I went out, I actually, it was when I was still in sales for Johnson Controls, and I went out to an account where 4 account execs got fired before me, got kicked out of the account. And everybody was like, oh, this client's such a bear. I think I shared this story on another Facebook Live, but he's so difficult. And so I went in and I'm like, I need to figure out what's going on and how we can rectify this. I can't fix anything if I don't know. So I went into his office and I said, you know what, Brian? I said, I want to know everything we've ever done that's pissed you off, screwed you over, felt like we dropped the ball, 15 years of working with Johnson Controls. I want to know everything we've done wrong. And he kind of looked at me like I had 3 horns on my head at a moment. And I'm like, I'm serious. I need to know how we haven't served you. And so he just kind of went, and he went for 20 minutes straight. Like, it was crazy. And then he went for like another hour. I mean, he just like kept talking because we did a lot of things apparently. When he was done, I looked at him and I said, are you done? And I didn't say it in a flippant way. I just said, are you done, or is there anything else? And my service guy was with me thinking, what the heck are you doing, right? And I said, is there anything else? And it's usually when we're willing to hang in that space and go deeper with someone that they give you the juice. And this is why I said the more you can get someone to share, and you've targeted a question in a way that allows them to feel like they're safe to like confide in someone and then lean in a little bit more even after that, it's amazing what shows up. And a lot of times it's their biggest pain point. And it was funny because he goes, well, you know what? He goes, I don't understand. You guys are 8 miles up the road. How come I only see you when it's time to sign the service agreement? I was like, he just wants more attention. He wants to feel like he's like my top client. He wants to like actually feel like he's one of our top tier preferred clients, right? And so the following week, he sent me a message and asked if I could drop some marketing stuff in the mail for him because he needed it, for his team. I said, sure. And 30 minutes later, I knocked on his office door and he's like, what are you doing here? Marketing materials in hand. And I said, didn't you just tell me last week that you wanted to see my smiling face more often? What we don't realize, and the reason I share that story is we don't realize that we get the clues we need, but we're so quick to think about what we want to respond to or what is our agenda or what are we going to say next in the call that we miss the opportunities to hear the gold that's shared with us when we have those open-ended questions. Stop going in. So if you're going to do the targeted open questions, then I want you to let your brain go. Yes, you can have some other things you can draw on. I want you to be present and I want you to listen because you will get direction on where to take the conversation from there. If you can open up that connection call with a really powerful, targeted, open-ended question, that call will start to navigate itself. The problem is too often you've already got your own agenda. You're waiting to respond. You want to say something. You want to make sure that you can tell them about this great shiny object that you have to offer them. They don't care. So what I want you to realize is this is all about how you can serve them. And I want you to think about what thing are they asking for? Like what prayer are they making that you could actually respond to? How can you serve them? So if you ask a question and you hear them go down that path, one of the things you might say is, have you ever considered this as a way to manage that situation? And they're like, oh, wow, tell me more about that. That's your opening to create the value proposition or the valued offering or your unique value system of how you could like start to introduce that. But it's only when you get into that juice and you understand something that they're really asking for help in, even if they're not directly asking for help. And it's really fine-tuning and honing your skills around listening. So that first aspect of a connection call, aside from doing your research, that's the first step, is to be very clear about what is the big question I want to ask. If I had 1 to 2 targeted open-ended questions that would be meaningful based on what I've seen and learned about this company or about this leader, or about this industry, or about leaders in general, whatever it is, what would that be so that I could position myself in a way to create a container quickly? And I will tell you, one of the things people tell me is, Candy, I don't know how you do it, but in 2 seconds, I feel like I'm in a safe space that I can tell you what's going on. It's because I'm already prepared to listen. I'm already prepared to hold the container, to let them be seen, and it's not about me. I am not on that call for me. I am on that call to see if there is any way possible I can serve them, knowing that this conversation might actually lead to me suggesting that they work with someone else. And I've done that as well, because that's a huge way for someone to feel heard. I had someone that was like, Candy, I want you. Hey, Jimenez. I had somebody who has said before, oh, we want you to, when I was, again, in my sales days, isn't a client, I've had people say, where after the conversation, I'm like, I'm not sure I'm the best person that can serve you. It sounds like what you're looking for is this. And I have somebody in my Rolodex, and we don't say Rolodex anymore. I have somebody in my network I think can support you in that. And I've had people actually say, what? Like, you're not selling me. I'm like, I was never intending to sell you. I don't know. Because I'll get people sometimes, and you get that egotistical personality to be like, what are you going to do for me? Especially if you get a connection through somebody else. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know your business. I don't know what's going on. And I don't even know if it makes sense for us to do anything. I'm here to better understand what you have going on so that I can help you co-solution what's the best fit. And it may not be me. And I have multiple times put somebody to another coach. I have sent them to another contractor or consultant. It doesn't matter, because if it's not aligned with who I am and what I offer, it doesn't make sense for me to, or for somebody that's like, I want you to project manage it back in my sales days. I'm like, why? So I can put overhead on something that you could go direct to source. I'm going to give you one of my guys who can do a lighting retrofit. You don't need me. Which also then cultivated a relationship of trust that person later on, when they did want to do something bigger, I was the first person they called because they already trusted me. What we don't realize is we miss the opportunity for connection. We miss the opportunity to establish real trust, to cultivate. We're so desperate and eager to sell that we don't honor the process of like building real trust and sustenance with people in the relationships that we're creating. And it's interesting as people be like, oh, corporate takes so long. Initially, there might be a little bit of lead time. But once you are their person, you are their person. My corporate clients, I work with anywhere from 3 to 6 plus years. And in fact, one of my champions this week, as we just extended another contract, said to me, let's get because sometimes payments can be interesting. That's a whole nother topic. But said to me, let's get this set up, because I envision there's going to be a lot more work after people see what we're co-creating together. Because I'm co-creating with those leaders, and we are creating something that's never been done, and it's already, in the 3 months we tried it out, has been juicy, that we're like, we are for sure going to commit and invest in the next 6 months to see how we can actually activate and integrate that. So I want you to think about that, right? I want you to think about it's a connection call. Do your work up front, and the first thing, the first piece. Now, these may not go in this specific order. These are just the 5 components that you want to think about in terms of the intention you're setting going in. And you may not cover all of these in that first call. If you're doing a connection call, right? A connection call may lead to an extension of a connection call or potentially a second follow-up. Because a connection call says we're starting to bridge that gap. So the first thing is around those targeted open-ended questions. The second thing I want you to realize is you need connection, and I've been talking about this back and forth sideways, and clarity. If you don't know how you can serve people, if you don't know or trust or have confidence in what you offer, it's probably not the best time for you to be getting in front of somebody to connect those dots. Having clarity, and sometimes the clarity is in the clarity and being able to pull out what they've said so that they can hear their pain point. It's being able to establish both connection and clarity for your client or for that prospect or for that connection, that person. Because oftentimes they don't even know what they're struggling with. And again, when you create that container that lets them just kind of rip a little bit, they riff with what they're saying, they can vent. You can say, what I heard you say was, and they're like, sometimes you get a couple responses where one is, holy crap. Yeah, that's it. Or, well, no, that's not exactly it. It's, so what you're there to do is help them gain clarity around where their challenges are. So where is their biggest opportunity? And it's challenges and opportunity. You talk about both in the same space. One of them is, I'll hear somebody talk about, in fact, I just had a call on this, about wanting to make sure they get an ROI from what we're doing. And I said, so let me stop you for a minute. I said, it's interesting. I hear a lot of leaders talk about ROI, and many have not fully defined that, or if they have, they talk about it from a money in versus money out equation. I'm curious, when you say ROI, what does that mean to you? And he stopped for a minute and he's like, that's a really good question. And I loved, because we were in alignment, he started to talk about it in terms of culture and engagement. Because when I talk about ROI, and one of the opportunities that I have to coach and help my corporate clients is I talk about ROI being a function of time, money, energy, resources, people, culture, and the lifestyle you're creating. Whole different ballgame. So when someone talks about ROI, sometimes I will slow them down. Again, sometimes you got to slow your roll, and you got to help them slow their roll. That I will slow them down to help them get clarity, because there's a lot of business buzzwords that people just, we need to do this. And you're like, so what does that really mean? How will you know you're successful in that? How do you measure that? And those conversations and those questions are powerful, because immediately you just got in their business in a good way. Immediately you're showing up as someone who says, look, I think about strategy and vision, and I can help you connect the dots. Immediately you are already demonstrating your value and differentiating yourself, and you didn't even try to sell anything that you have. It's about your presence and your leadership and how clear you can help them get with what's going on. So then the third thing that shows up, so if it's those open-ended, those targeted ways that you're opening the conversation, that establishing connection, leaning in, holding a container where they can be seen and valued, and helping them get clarity around what they're talking about, the next step is then you help them prioritize. Then you help them prioritize what is really the biggest issue. Because not everything can tie for first. And most leaders, especially in the corporate realm, need so much help prioritizing, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous how much they keep thinking they can put another 20 things on their plate. What is the single thing? First of all, the word priority was singular for 500 years until some genius decided they had to put an IES on the end and make it plural. The actual definition of priority means that one thing. And if you haven't read Gary Keller's book, The One Thing, there you go. But it is that one thing. And it's interesting, because if you do what I just told you to do in that other space, and again, you can actually do this in a 20-minute call. This is the genius of it. Now, some of you need some practice to like role play that or understand how this process works. Again, I'm going to share with you the way you can do that and actually workshop this in an incubator and move an opportunity through this process, because sometimes we just need to be able to like feel it and know it and do it to have the confidence that sure. So you want to prioritize not only what they just got clear about, you also want to make sure you're prioritizing the time that you've extended for that call. And what do I mean? If I've asked somebody for a 20-minute call, I am making sure I am watching the clock so that when we get close to 20 minutes, I can say, I want to be respectful of your time. I asked for 20 minutes. I want to first thank you for that. I don't want to extend this if you have a hard stop. So I'm giving them an option. Most of the time, one of three things happens. They either say, Candy, I actually do have a hard stop. I want to continue this conversation. Can we, and here's the fourth piece, one of the pieces in this, a call to action. Can we schedule some more time this week or next week to finish this conversation? 100% yes, right? Because if they're engaged in the conversation, they don't want it to end. However, most corporate people will go from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting, so there's a hard stop. If they gave you 20 minutes, you need to honor the 20 minutes. So that prioritization to say, I want to be respectful. If, however, they've got another window, they might be like, nope, I'm good for another 30 minutes, let's go. That happens to me more times than not. Let's keep rocking. And I actually have my corporate people trained now to say, Candy, I had this twice yesterday. Candy, I want to be respectful. I know you probably have another call. And I'm like, no, actually, I'm good. We can keep going. Or I'm like, no, you're right. I actually have a call at the top of the hour. So let's talk about what we need to do next. Because that prioritization then opens up the opportunity for you to do a call to action, which is the fourth thing. And usually it's the fifth thing. It's the last thing. And again, they don't have to be in order. But I want you to realize that when you demonstrate that you are respectful of their time, power, because again, it's not about you. It's about you honoring who they are and wanting to cultivate a relationship from where they're at to lift them to where you want them to go. The third thing that would happen in that sometimes is they're like, Candy, actually, I love this conversation, but I think we need to either bring someone else in the conversation, or I want to introduce you to someone who's actually the key decision maker. Would you mind if I scheduled a meeting for the three of us? Oh, of course not. Right? Because that's how these calls work. And there is a genius, and it works, and it's really like juicy, and it works almost every time. So the third thing is the prioritization. Not only the prioritization to help them prioritize what they're clear about, but it's also the prioritization to make sure you're using your time wisely, which moves you into the fourth thing, that as you're doing this, if you're doing this appropriately and adequately and in a way to serve, you are naturally offering your unique value system through this process. You may also get to a point in the call where they're like, so tell me what that would look like. That's exactly when you're not offering a specific program or a specific thing. You're offering the process for how you would engage and work with them to, because corporate loves this, customize or co-create a solution for them. What is your unique value system or process for how you would engage with a client like that to help pull through? And some of it is, we would set up a series of calls that looks like this. We would engage in assessments with your team. We would look at what would be the most relevant training based on these issues, and then look at how we would build out a mastermind or cohort or ongoing accountability to make sure that you not only get the training, but you could activate and integrate as well. That is my system. I just told you all my value system. That's what it looks like. And it's that clear, and it's juicy, because I use words that are meaningful, especially when we just talked about ROI. So I want you to realize that you're doing your homework, you come in. It's about opening up in a targeted way to have the right conversation, so that then you're leaning in, you're listening, you're peeling back the layers, you're helping them get clear and building connection as you do. You are prioritizing the challenges that are coming to light and making sure you're using time effectively. Then you are positioning what that would look like for next steps and your value system, your unique value system, and there's ways to cultivate that. And then the last piece is you would do a call to action. You would say, so then what are we going to do from here? Do we need another call to further vet this out? Do we need to engage other people in this discussion? Do you need some things from me so that you can see how this process may lay out? how can we? And so then you have a call to action. And I will tell you, if you are doing right by those other 4 steps, you will be pretty clear on what that call to action is so that you can lead that conversation and have them be on board with where you land. Is this making sense for everybody? I hope so. Because then there's a little bonus, and this one is where most people miss. They might have had a great call, and it's called follow up. And there is a way to do follow up the right way, and there's a way to do follow up that's going to piss off your prospect or have them ghost you or have them walk away. And so follow up is the final key. So the bookends on it are you prepared? Are you doing your research? And are you following up and have a system for that in a way that serves this person? And then those 5 steps in between, which are the open-ended questions, the connection and clarity, prioritization, your unique value system, and then a call to action. So yes, hopefully you just got that, Kisa. If your computer froze, also go back. It'll be on the replay. So what I want to share with you then to wrap this up is some of you, as you keep leaning into these Facebook Lives, as you keep leaning into these juicy nuggets, intellectually you're like, yeah, I get it. And you need to put it into action. And so I have created, and I've run this a couple times, and this one's going deeper. This one's even juicier just with what's going on currently. I want to get you really activated. I have created an incubator that is actually launching July 13th. So it is in a week and a half. It is going to be a space for you to workshop these very things and put the pieces together so that you can actually take an opportunity within your network from the initial conception of who and getting them into the connection call through an opportunity where you can actually bring your message and value into those spaces. And so it is a 6-week program. We will workshop 2 hours each week, plus there will be activation and work you will be doing in between so that you can actually be in this. You will get access to my entire corporate playbook, which literally is the training piece by piece of how to do this. So if you are interested in learning more about what that looks like, again, it is 2 hours in the mastermind each week or in the incubator. And then there will be some work and things that you're doing. If you are really ready, if this is like lighting you up, if you're like, yes, I want to take my message in because, man, there's money right now in corporate. There's money to spend with everything that they had to put on hold through the pandemic. There are companies that have budgets they have to use. And I just want you all to know there's $350 billion in the training industry and corporate coaching and training industry. That's a lot of money to tap into. And they're going to be starting to get into their planning season for 2022, like September, October timeframe. You want to be having those conversations now to get in front of them, not only to tap into resources that they have available, and so that you are prioritized in their budget for 2022 and can start to get some legs under how you're going to be cultivating that relationship and what value you're going to be bringing in. So that being said, if you are interested, let me know in the comments. Simply say crack the code or send me a personal message letting me know that you would like more information. This is for those who are serious about digging in, who are leaders, who are ready to amplify your message. I will give you the entire framework and process that you will workshop in order to activate that. Because like I said, I'm being called. It showed up in my Akashic records. It's showing up in everything that I need to be in a place where I can light up other light workers to take their work into the spaces that need them most. And these spaces right now are hurting. These spaces right now are grappling. These spaces right now are upside down, inside out, name it, whatever you want to name it. So please, if you are interested, send me a message and I will send you the information. Like I said, it launches July 13th. It'll be every Tuesday. It's going to be a powerful space. It likely will be fairly intimate. And or at least it is right now. It's going to be as big or as small as whatever it needs to be. It is the right people that want to be activated to work on their stuff, to actually workshop their message. So what you will gain is clarity on how to fine tune your message so that as you're having these connections, how do you speak your value system? How do you connect the dots? It will teach you how to mine and use and leverage your LinkedIn and your existing network. It will teach you how to create the language that's going to help you build those bridges and learn some corporate speak relatively easily. It's going to help you structure when you get the opportunity. How do I put a proposal in front of them? How do I actually like lay this out? All of that is what we are workshopping over that 6-week period. There will be a lot of additional value add. Like I said, you will get my entire corporate playbook, which is the training program. You will also get opportunities that we will have activated things in our group itself. And then there will be some other things that when you sign up, you will find out about those as well. There will be additional bonuses. So if it is something of interest to you, please, please, please reach out. If not, I hope that what I shared with you today has been helpful. There is a lot of value. And just so you know, my one-on-one clients pay me some serious money for what I just shared for you. And I want you to realize that this is a game changer when you think about leading with a connection call and stop thinking about having sales calls. When you start looking at how you're going to deeply cultivate relationships for longevity, sustainability, and long-term leadership, you are already positioning yourself in a very different way than 95% of the population who's out there that has like everybody kind of turned off. So that being said, I'm sharing with you that way of how you can show up to be a game changer and huge differentiator for you and the people that you serve. So hopefully that was helpful. If there's questions, please drop them in the comments. I will be coming back. For those of you, I know many of you come back and watch this later. Share that you are, hashtag replay. Let me know. I will come back. If you have comments, I will be checking and answering questions or comments. Please, even for those of you that are here, you may want to go back and watch this one again. There's a lot of gold that I just shared with you in the past 50 minutes. So with that, everybody, mwah, I love you big. Yes, if you're thinking, is she talking to me? Yes, I'm talking to you. I don't care what your message is. Yes, I'm talking to you. Yes, you are needed right now. Yes, it is time. And I can say yes all day. It's only when you say yes to yourself that things will change. So with that, looks like my dog needs to go out. So mwah, I love you. I will see you all. I believe I have another Facebook Live on Tuesday to talk about the do's and don'ts, because there are some things you don't want to be doing. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot before you even get started. And I shared some of those today, but I will share some other very intentional ones with you next time as well. Bye, everyone. For those of you in the U.S., have a great holiday weekend. Canada, I think you have a holiday right now as well. So everybody have a beautiful weekend. Be safe, be good. Oh, you're so funny. Thank you. And just know I am here. I really, truly want to help you amplify your message for the people that need you. There are people right now praying for you. And I just want to help you open up access so that you can serve them. With that, everybody, bye.